At the heart of the latest Netflix hit is a stark warning about the dangers of believing everything you see on social media.
Oh, yeah. Apple Cider Vinegar tells a shocking true story of Belle Gibson, who duped the world into believing she had terminal brain tumour, which she cured with radical alternative therapies. But none of what she said is true.
Wow.
So whilst the series is a drama based on Belle's life and deception about her health, it's based on a true story.
The dangers became very real for Bella Johnston, who joins us now to share her story alongside David Wilson, who's got all the inside scoop. Good morning to both of you. We're going to start with you, David, because we've seen the trailer. But can you tell us the real story and how close is the documentary to this?
Sure, and I think we'll discuss the truth many times throughout our discussion today, and what's invented and what's make-believe and what's simply a lie and a hustle. So Belle Gibson really is an Australian wellness influencer who way back in 2008, 2009, so we're at the infancy of Instagram, starts posting on Instagram claiming that she had brain cancer, was given 4 months to live, and she eschews conventional treatment like chemotherapy and then starts posting saying that she's cured. She's literally cured her cancer, not through conventional treatment, but by changing her diet. And she then starts posting about the foods that she's eating. That becomes an app called the Whole Pantry. That app becomes part of the smartwatch, the Apple smartwatch apps. She makes about $1 million Australian dollars. She gets a book deal by Penguin. And so she is making a fortune. And as you were pointing out in the introduction, it is all a lie. And she seems to have been influenced by a woman who genuinely was diagnosed with cancer called Jessica Ansko. Jessica Ansko also tries to change her diet. She uses something called the Gerson therapy, which in the series is called the Hirsch therapy, which does involve changing your diet, having enemas and so forth. And tragically, Jessica passes away. So there is a tension throughout the series, and Netflix has got previews for this about, what's true and what's imagined because of baby reindeer. But there is a tension in the series between those people who are real and those people who have been invented. And in one particular character called Milla Blake is an invention who is seemingly modelled on Jessica Ansko, and Milla Blake is supposedly a wellness rival.
But presumably they say this at the start, right? They say it's based on true events and some of the characters have been made up for dramatic.
Dermot, the series is constantly playing with the truth, constantly breaking the fourth wall. So the characters are looking directly at you and saying, this is a true story based on a lie. Some of the characters and events have been created for dramatic purposes.
OK, so they're telling the truth. They're telling the truth on what they're doing.
Yeah.
Was you happy with it? Did you like it, or do you think...
I think it's a brilliant series.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying the series, but I'm concerned about this tension about what is real, how some characters are presented, and some of the families in Australia, which I know that Bella knows about better than me, are concerned about whether they were correctly portrayed, whether they were even advised that there were going to be characters in the series.
Well, Belle's lies were very dangerous. Enter Bella, who at the time was actually going through cancer yourself.
Yeah.
Before we talk about that, how is your health right now?
Yeah, I'm great.
All good?
Very healthy. Looking good, feeling good.
Great.
Cancer-free?
Cancer-free, 10 years last year.
Great.
Oh, well
Yeah.
OK, so at the time, you'd actually seen Belle previously, before you got cancer.
Yeah.
So you knew about her.
Yeah, so I stumbled across Belle in probably late 2013, early 2014, and by that point, I had been very, very sick for a long time, and I had been misdiagnosed. So I was diagnosed with an eating disorder and bulimia, and put through subsequent treatment for that, when in fact I actually just had an aggressive cancerous tumour eating me up from the inside out. So by the time I was 18, I had completely shunned conventional medicine. I was refusing to go to any doctors because I had been let down so much by the system. And then so when I had stumbled across Belle, it was prior to my cancer diagnosis, but it was still when I was really vulnerable and just looking for anything to make myself feel better. I had fallen into a lot of alternative therapies. I had a lot of alternative therapies diagnose me with very incorrect diagnoses. But yeah, I think that was really what Belle preyed on was like vulnerable people seeking community.
But you say that, and you know, and obviously you're right. But you must, if you're looking at that, she's got book deals. She's got
Exactly.
like,
It looks legit.
Legitimises the whole thing. So you wouldn't think it was kind of out there, would you?
No, and I'd heard stories as well. When I had finally been diagnosed with cancer, I had become part of, like, you know, a little community. And, you know, you hear stories, people be like, oh, you know, Belle Gibson has the same personal trainer as me. And he says that, you know, sometimes she'll tell her body to jump to the left, but she'll jump to the right. And I just remember thinking, she can see a personal trainer? Like, I was so unwell, I couldn't walk 100
Yeah,
yards.
you're so tired.
Yeah, and I was like, how the hell does someone see a personal trainer when they've got terminal cancer?
Yeah. Because your father said to you, you can go down this route if you want, but you have to carry on with
Yeah, which is how I feel about alternative medicine. I think it's supplementary to conventional medicine.
Yeah.
I'm not anti-alternative medicine at all. I use acupuncture.
Yeah.
I see Chinese doctors. But I think it's very dangerous when you start cutting out things, you know, like, and so my dad said, he's like, I don't care what you do outside of following the doctor's orders, but you're doing your cancer treatment, you're having your surgeries, and then whatever else you do is fine by me.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
I know.
You listened to your dad, your wonderful dad, and carried on, because she was then discovered and exposed, and you saw that. What did you think when you saw that?
It's a very blurry time for me, because so I had been going through my cancer treatment. I was very, very, very unwell. And so by the time she was
Exposed, yeah.
Exposed, in early 2015, I was on a lot of painkillers. I was very unwell, and my auntie had just passed away from bowel cancer. So I don't remember a lot of this period of time, but I remember being in the shopping centre and seeing the article pop up, and I was like, no, surely not.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
So who exposed her, David? Who was the person who got her?
Two journalists, Bo Donnelly and Nick Toscano, who write a book called The Woman Who Fooled the World. I hope viewers picked up what Bella was saying there, because it's really important. Alternative therapies in themselves cannot cure cancer. And in fact, it's against the 1939 Cancer Act in this country for an alternative therapy to say that it can cure cancer. But two journalists picked up on her story, and actually, a bit like, you know, she's actually taken to court as a consequence of defrauding people that she was saying that she was raising money for.
Yeah.
And so they get her not so much on the brain cancer, but the fact that she said she was raising money for a child who tragically did have brain cancer. She's taken to court. But as a result of the book, in 2007, the Australian government fined her a huge amount of money, but she says she's unable to pay that money back. But effectively, the whole edifice that she was claiming really just breaks down.
Crumbles. Could she have had a custodial sentence for that or not?
Well, she was fined for deception and misleading, and she would not necessarily, under Australian law, have got a custodial sentence. And also, she was really, in a sense, it was the consumer law that was really bringing her to court.
Gotcha. This 1939 Cancer Act seems like it's pretty ahead of its time, really.
Before we even have a National Health Service. So way back in the 1930s, people, the government is saying you cannot claim you can cure cancer by diet, by this tablet, that tablet.
I don't think we have that in Australia.
No, you don't.
Yeah, no.
So Australians... But remember, Belle Gibson wasn't just an Australian phenomenon.
No.
She's on the Apple smartwatch.
Yeah.
That's
her
unbelievable.
whole pantry. So she's brought down by all of that. But, of course, her underlying personality doesn't disappear simply because she's been caught out telling a lie. And the last we heard from her, she claimed to be living in an Ethiopian community in Melbourne and changed her name.
She's got a new name, hasn't she?
Santano.
Yeah.
Santano. And so...
But I read they said that she's nothing to do with that.
She's got nothing to do with that.
She's got no time, but has she got Munchausen's? Is that what she's got?
When I was an undergraduate, Ali, it was called Munchausen syndrome. We now call it factitious disorder. And I think that's exactly what she has. She has used these symptoms in a delusional way to shift her app, to sell books, to make money.
I don't think it's ethical to sit on television and diagnose someone that we don't actually know.
Yeah.
But I think, from my perspective looking in, she's very lonely. And I think the one thing maybe the Netflix Apple Cider Vinegar show portrays is the isolation she felt as a young single mother. And I think that kind of situation she was seeking community, you know, and she had a blog and she realised that she could get attention, she could find community. And the cancer community is so kind and beautiful and welcoming. And so I don't like speculating on whether or not she had the factitious disorder, but I think ultimately she was really lonely.
Bella, thank you so much for joining us. And David, thank you. I mean, it's fascinating, isn't it? And it's on Netflix right now. Make sure you tune in to Apple Cider Vinegar.
Thank you so much for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every single day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the morning.